Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I feel like a lot of us are really in this season of recommitting to ourselves, and that also includes recommitting to our goals. Maybe you had a bit too much fun this summer and didn't hit all your milestones. I know I was traveling a lot and being a bit more of a social butterfly than I thought I was going to be. And I thought I could balance being social and also being productive and achieving all these milestones that I've laid out. But no, I slacked off, which is totally fine because as humans, you also have to realize you aren't powered to work. Like, you do need to take breaks, and I think you do need to listen to your body and listen to what your gut and your soul is telling you. So if your gut and soul is telling you to go out, do it, but also do it in moderation. But today we are going to be talking about accountability, because little do you know, this is really the major key to success, to achieving your goals, to being consistent. Because without accountability, you can't really have the discipline or the motivation to pursue everything that you have dreamt about and are trying to manifest. So it really took me months to realize that accountability was the missing factor in everything that I was doing. I had, and still to this day sometimes, I had no accountability, no ownership over my actions and my choices and my decisions. And I was always slacking off and never really staying committed to the goals that I have laid out in my head and in my journal. And once I realized accountability was the missing key, it has really reshaped how I think about everything, how I think about going through life. Because without accountability, you aren't going to move, because you're going to continue to stay content and within your ways that are holding you back. When I'm not holding myself accountable, I let things slide. I let deadlines slide. I am not consistent in the habits that I'm trying to continue to introduce in my life, the rituals. I just have no ownership and no discipline around that. Accountability touches on every part of our life, and most importantly, our goals, which I feel like the fall season and the winter season is just the perfect time to really deep dive into anything that you have been wanting to achieve and to work on. Because let's face it, it's going to be getting colder. We might not want to be going outside as much, because who wants to go outside when your house is warm and toasty? There will be less distractions. But in order to achieve these goals, to try out these goals, these new habits, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. Let's face it, a lot of times we can have real hater energy towards ourselves when it comes to, let's take social media for example. As you can see, because you are watching this video, I'm really trying to invest into my social media platforms to really share the things that I'm learning, share the things that are helping me to help y'all. And I've always just been a creative person, and I love video editing, I love writing, and so social media, especially YouTube, allows me to marry a lot of my creative interests together, and it's a lot of fun. However, especially when you're starting out, it is so easy to put yourself down because you aren't achieving these kind of views that you want, you're not getting the engagement that you want, and so you can kind of tell yourself really negative things, shitty things that you wouldn't tell your friends, you wouldn't tell anyone else. But because you are so focused on these goals, so focused on success and achievement, and you're not seeing it happen right away, you treat yourself really badly, and it's a lot of hater energy. But you have to be your biggest fan, because when you are pursuing a lot of these bigger goals, bigger ideas, new habits, new passions, you will feel like no one within your inner circle, the people closest to you, your family, friends, whatever, you will feel and you will see that they aren't really supporting you out loud as you would want them to, or as you would yourself if they were pursuing those goals that they have. When you're really motivated and focused on your goals, it really teaches you a lot about yourself, because you have to stick it out, because the going gets tough all the time. No matter what kind of goal you're trying to achieve, Take people who are training for a marathon. People who are training for a marathon, they are working out consistently. They are putting their bodies through so much like pain for a better outcome. It is, I know, like for me, like when I'm working out and then I'm sore the next day, like I don't want to do anything. But when you're preparing for a marathon, you have to keep pushing yourself because you have this goal in mind to complete a marathon, maybe win first place. And so no matter the pain, no matter how tired you feel, you have this bigger vision that you're trying to reach for. So you continue to push yourself forward even as the going gets tough. And that's the same for any type of goal. You have to continue to push yourself forward, even if you feel like you're alone, even if you feel like no one around you who you know is supporting you. At the end of the day, the goal that you're reaching for, the business that you're trying to start, whatever it is, it's not for your inner circle. That's not who you're trying to reach. That's not your audience. Your audience is out there. It's out there. You have to remind yourself that constantly because you will feel like no one likes your product or your videos and it will beat you down, but you have to be your biggest cheerleader to continue to push forward. And again, on those days where you're feeling like no one is supporting you, you have to take a step back and think to yourself, why are you letting people's inaction impact the way you're moving through life, dictate how you are moving through life? Those inactions should have no merit in your life when you are working hard on your goals, because that, like I said, that's not your audience. That's not the people you are working towards. And look, the people who you know in real life, the ones who aren't supporting you, if they were your audience, you wouldn't be posting online. You wouldn't be creating this business because you would just share like your thoughts with them. But that's not your audience, so you have to think bigger. You gotta think big. Don't think small, because we are not small individuals. We have a lot going on in our brains and in our hearts that we want to share with the world. And one thing about goals is you have like your bigger personal vision of what you're trying to achieve. And that vision like really needs to be something that you are wholeheartedly passionate about, committed to, because when the going gets tough, you have to remind yourself about this passion, about this commitment that you have made to yourself. However, when it comes to our goals, discipline is huge. But in order to achieve discipline, you have to achieve accountability. Accountability is key to discipline. I feel like a lot of times when we hear the word accountability, it has often like more of a negative sense, and it usually is aligned to like consequences, but that's not what we're talking about here. Accountability is the act of holding yourself true to a commitment that you made. And I know another word or another phrase that we're all familiar with is accountability buddies, people who kind of check in on you to remind you to do X, Y, Z. And those are great, but the first step before you can have an accountability buddy is to, one, not think of accountability as punishment or a consequence. And two, to remember the only way to have an accountability buddy is to hold yourself accountable, because no one else can really hold you accountable. Because yes, you have this accountability buddy who is reminding you to like get your shit together, get your work done. The action of you doing the work, the action of you remembering your vision is what's most important. Having that reminder is just another way to prompt you, but you can also have that reminder within yourself. When you lose your accountability buddy, then do you just stop pursuing your goals? Do you stop moving forward? No, you have to keep moving forward. And so rather than relying on someone else, rely on yourself. Rely on yourself. Oh, that's a word. Okay. There's a book that I'm currently reading called The 12-Week Year, and they talk a lot about accountability and like personal vision and how to execute on your goals when you are feeling a little sluggish. And so I truly recommend that book. When you are able to have self-accountability, like game changer, because you don't need to rely on someone else. You are able to finally like take ownership over like your actions and your choices. That really forces you to make right decisions, to tap into habits that are pushing you forward rather than continuing habits that aren't. When you realize like you are the one who has to make the moves to reach that goal, the only thing you can do is move. Like, you can't just sit down because nothing's gonna happen. You're just gonna be sat in the same seat that you have been sitting in for years, just wondering, oh, will I ever achieve that goal? No. We're over that. We've done that for too long, okay? We are moving forward. We are elevating. It's starting to feel like fall a little bit. It's still a little hot, but I just feel the changes. Like, the sun is starting to set earlier. But I'm really realizing, like, we only have one life. Why make it a life that you're not excited about? I want a life that I'm excited about, that I'm happy about. Like, obviously I'm not gonna be happy every day, but I want a life where I am mostly happy, mostly excited about the work that I'm doing, mostly excited about the routines and the rituals that I've created. That's what I want, and I am owning that. And in order for me to achieve that kind of life, I have to have self-accountability to motivate myself to tap into the habits and complete the habits daily, weekly, monthly, to reach all of my professional and personal goals that will allow me to reach that excited, happy life that I truly envision. And it's very within my reach. It's very within all of our reaches, these lives that we want. We just have to have the accountability to create the discipline to reach our goals. It's just like, those are the steps: accountability, and then discipline, and then, action, and then reaching the goals. And so how do you even build discipline? So we talked about accountability, yes. But the next step after accountability, and not the next step, but accountability is persistent throughout. Discipline is another key to reaching that goal. And honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how to build discipline within myself too, like consistent discipline. But what I've learned so far is you have to identify your why, your vision. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but your vision that you have for whatever it is you are trying to reach, you have to have like a clear, specific, passionate vision that you feel in your gut, like you feel in your soul, something that you are always thinking about constantly. Like, oh, what if I do this? Like, I've always wanted to do this. Like, thoughts that you have, like those kind of thoughts, write that down and figure out like how specific you can get with it, because I think the more specific you can be with your visions and with your goals, you will able to envision it clearly and figure out the steps to reach that. Because when we're having like these vague ideas, vague goals, you're gonna be vague in your steps, in your habits to reach that goal. And that's not what you want, because you're never gonna reach it because you don't have a clear idea of what you want. So you have to have a clear idea. You have to have a clear why. You have to have a clear vision. And the reason why I need a why, like why this, is because you can have a goal, but if there's nothing that's really connecting you to it, when the going gets tough, you just might be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, you might just throw it aside. But when you have a strong why, a strong purpose, you'll feel more hurt with yourself when you try to leave that goal behind. So when you have that purpose connected to you, it'll help you remember like why you're doing this. Why? You need a why. You also need to marry motivation and inspiration together to turn your ambition into action. I don't know about y'all, but there have been plenty of times where I have had the inspiration to do something, but not the motivation. And I just was like, I will do this later because I don't feel like doing it now. Like, I'm inspired, but I don't feel like doing it now. Like, I know a lot of us have had moments like that. And there have also been moments where I've had the motivation, but not the inspiration. What we need to do is blend them together. Without both factors, your ambition is just going to be stagnant and you won't push yourself forward to act. And finally, using tools that help you keep you aligned to your goals. And so some of these tools for me are my journal, my Notion, and my Google Calendar. Within these tools, I always try to have like a day early in the week where I just like brain dump all the things I need to get done to push myself forward in whatever goal it is that I am working towards. Once I finish brain dumping, I will like organize those brain dumps into like actionable habits and tasks that I will be doing that week or that month. So that has helped me a lot. Also, time blocking. Time blocking is major key. I do time blocking like at work because I manage a lot of different projects. And so when I'm able to time block, I get so much more done than when I just like have my to-do list and I'm just like, okay, switching back and forth between different tasks. I like to time block and dump all of like a similar task into one time block. So like, for example, if I'm doing like creative stuff or content creation, I'll like dump filming, editing, brainstorming into like an hour or two block, and I'll have that on my calendar, and then once that time hits, I'll do that work. And I would also say setting up check-ins with yourself, those are great. So you know how like in school or at work you have your check-ins with your supervisor or your advisor, and it helps you like figure out where you are in the moment. Do that with yourself. So I like to do that in my journal. I'll just like reflect on what I've done the past month or the past quarter. And I'll also write down things that I am trying to achieve. And when I check in with myself, I'm able to see like what I've been able to achieve, what I haven't been able to achieve, what I failed on, what I need to work on. And it's just a nice little reset when it comes to your goals. When you check in with yourself, you're also able to set up milestones for yourself. Points in your year or month or however long you have set aside for a specific goal. You can set up different milestones of when you want to achieve a certain goal or a certain task or habit. And I think it's just helpful to keep everything organized. Being your biggest cheerleader is definitely the main step to helping you achieve self-accountability and then eventually creating disciplined habits that allow you to achieve your goals. And look, it's always going to be a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. We're always going to be work in progresses. I don't know if that made sense, but I think there is beauty in the progress, in the growth. So I hope these tips were helpful, and let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.